Hello friends, this is the Dorman twist train. This is part number 092020. The last 3 digits of the part number refer to the thread size. The twist train is offered in multiple different thread sizes and they each have their own different part number. All that's included in the packaging was that manual, the twist train itself, and this flat, I think it's aluminum washer. So here you can see there's the hex nuts, 21 millimeters, that is used for installation. This is the 21 millimeter crowfoot wrench I'll be using to torque this down to spec. You can also notice is because the hex nut is smaller than the silver part here, a socket would not fit over this. It's kind of a poor design and forced me to buy these crowfoot wrenches. And you can see this cap right here just pushes down and it twists. This is the closed position. Here is a diagram I have drawn of how I believe this valve works. Unfortunately, I'm unable to disassemble the valve as it appears to be held together with 2 friction fit pins that I'm not able to remove without destroying the product. So in this diagram, the right side is of course the threads that thread into the oil pan, and the gray part is that silver cap you saw me push down and twist to close the valve. And the part in this diagram that is red, that is the black rubber O-ring that I believe does all the sealing. One of the issues I have with the design of this valve is the way that this press fit pin you see me pointing to here slides along this track. It is possible to leave that pin in this track in a position that's halfway between locked and unlocked, although it will seal. If it is touched ever so slightly and twisted, it will immediately unlock with very little force. In this photo, you can see the pin I'm referring to is that dark gray part that's on top of the silver cap, and you can clearly see the track in this picture that pin rides in. On the left, you can see a diagram of the track that the Dorman twist train currently uses. The issue I've noticed is that that pin can get stuck where that red dot is. It will seal the valve, but if jostled slightly, it can rotate in either direction, so it could rotate open and allow all your oil to fall onto the ground. If I were to have been the one to design this track, I would have done something as depicted on the right. I would have made it an arc shape in between the open and closed tracks. Therefore, with the force of the spring acting on the cap, the pin would be forced into one of the 2 tracks and would not be able to remain in that position in between the open and closed position. Here's another possible redesign of the track that I had in mind. It also would not allow the pin to sit in that middle position between open and closed because of the spring force on the cap. It would force it to either be in the open or closed position and would not have that middle position in between open and closed. Now we shall begin the installation process. Here you can see me add some blue Loctite to the threads. This is not something that the installation instructions tell you to do, but this is something that I want to do because I don't plan on ever removing this. Remember, when using a crowfoot wrench with a torque wrench, you always want to use it perpendicular to the torque wrench, as you see me doing here. If you have the crowfoot straight from the torque wrench, then the torque spec will be shifted as you're shifting the pivot points of the torque wrench, the fulcrum. If this is something that's confusing to you, I will put a link in the description explaining this concept. As you can see, here's what the valve looks like in the open position. Something I'd like to mention is all the marketing material shows the valve in the open position, which makes it look much longer than it really is. So here you can see I just push in and twist, and it's in the closed position now. Just push in and twist to open. It's very easy to use, very intuitive. No tools required. For those curious, here you can see how far it protrudes below the oil pan. This camera angle right here is with my phone pressed up against the front bumper cover. You can see it's definitely the lowest point in the car. We are now going to test how much oil is retained in the pan when using this oil drain plug valve. We're going to do this by lowering the car to the ground. As you see I've done here, all four wheels are now on the ground. I've left the valve open. I'm going to slowly add oil until it starts draining through this oil drain plug valve. Right here you can see the moment the oil began to drain through the oil drain valve. I had added roughly 225 milliliters of oil to the engine before it started draining through this valve, which in my opinion is pretty good considering that this vehicle is now on level ground and it was originally drained at an incline with the front axle in the air. As you just saw me do, it is now possible for me to get an oil drain pan underneath the vehicle and to open and close this valve without jacking the car up at all. And since I can change the filter from above the vehicle by popping the hood, I no longer need to jack the car up or use ramps to do an oil change, which is very convenient. And now for the moment of truth, I will start the vehicle. Wonderful, it looks like there are no leaks for now. Please check the comments and description down below for any updates. I will let you guys know if it begins to leak or if the valve is sheared off by road debris. Thank you so much for watching. Please leave your comments, concerns, and criticism down below.